What's going on, golf addicts? DB here with the Tour Junkies. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Bay Hill Club and Lodge Golf Course. If you're going to be betting, playing DFS, whatever it is, I got you in 10 minutes or less. We're going to talk about key stats, trends, course features. We're going to look at a couple player quotes from the years that kind of, give some signal as to what it's going to take to play well. And at the end, I'm actually going to give you a little tidbit on how predictive is course history at Bay Hill. So you're going to want to stick around for that. All right, before we get into it, give me a like, give me a subscribe if you don't mind. And I need a little bit of help with my own game personally. I'm struggling off the tee with the driver. Okay, my stroke swinging off the tee sucks. I need some help from you. What driver are you hitting? Why do you like it? Sell me. All right, sell me on the driver. Here we go. Bay Hill Club and Lodge plays host to the Arnold Palmer Invitational in Orlando, Florida every year. I've played it twice in the fall of 2021. Horrible golf course. Can't stand it. If you strip away all the Arnie stuff, all the tournament stuff, if you took away all that, it's just a regular ass Florida golf course. Okay. Boring. Two memorable holes. That's it. It's a par 72, plays about 7,500 yards. Arnie redesigned it in 2009. Here's a few past champs. Bryson DeChambeau won when he famously cut the corner on number 6. I think he won it like 11 under. Terrell Hatton won in like a, tornado at 4 under. Francesco Molinari, Mark Leishman, Rory McIlroy, Jason Day, just a few past champs. We don't really see a lot of bombs in terms of outright odds win at Bay Hill. I think Mark Leishman was the last big one at 100-1 a long time ago. But you tend to see the cream rise to the top here. It's one of the more difficult courses on the PGA Tour rotation. And so, the best players tend to rise up. And a lot of the best players come to Bay Hill because of, love, adoration, respect for Arnold. Tiger won this event 8 times. Wow. Matt Every won this event twice. I don't know which one's more impressive. Matt Every winning any tournament twice. No offense. Love Matt Every. Funny guy. Or Tiger winning it 8 times. I actually think Matt Every may be more impressive. All right, let's talk about some of the key features of this course. To me, it's one of those courses where if you go back and look at the strokes gained categories, winners and players in the top 5, top 10 tend to do all 5 major strokes gained categories well. Strokes gained off the tee, approach, around the green, putting, and I'm missing one thing. Hell if I know. Anyway, they tend to do everything pretty well, right? You can't have a lot of holes in the boat if you come to Bay Hill. I don't like guys who arrive to Bay Hill out of form when it comes to ball striking. There's some tournaments on the PGA Tour I think you can get away with that. Not here at Bay Hill. I need your ball striking coming in, locked up, jammed up, jelly tight. You know what I mean? Guys do tend to club down a fair amount off the tee here. It's got one of the lowest average driving distances on the PGA Tour because guys will club down. There's a lot of turns. There's a lot of dog legs. They're wanting to make sure they're in the fairway as they approach these firm greens. So the big bombers will club down a lot. You'll see a lot of driving irons, hybrids, whatever. But really the length comes into play on the approach shots. We're going to talk more about that later. The rough has gotten a lot thicker over the years. So thick like Cardi B, baby. You know what I mean? It's gotten a lot thicker. That's just what they're doing. They're trying to make it more difficult. I don't know what they're doing. Bryson didn't care. He just bludgeoned it down there 50, 60 yards further and still beat everybody. Now, but I don't think that's the strategy in play for a lot of players on the PGA Tour. The fairways were widened a little bit in 2015. Some of the trees were taken out. And I think that's when they started saying, all right, we're going to grow the rough up a little bit, but who knows? The course is intended overall to play firm and fast. That's what they try to do, which I like. And that makes it challenging. That's the only way to really challenge these guys is firm and fast conditions. The wind is a big factor, as we saw with the year Terrell Hatton won. I mean, if the wind's kicking up, this place can play like an open championship. So pay attention to that. Always check that before you lock in lineups and stuff. Some of the toughest par 3s on the PGA Tour featured here at the Bay Hill Club and Lodge. And the greens are meant to run, like I said, pretty firm and fast. And they're that Tiff Eagle Bermuda, which is a very standard Florida green, grass surface. We'll talk about that more in a little bit as well. They average around 7,500 square feet. That's about average, maybe a little larger than average-ish. So, yeah. Let's look at this. Some key stats and trends, all right? Bay Hill is the 7th highest total scoring average adjusted for field strength out of regular PGA Tour stops. That doesn't include majors, just PGA Tour stops. So that's basically right there with Riviera and Muirfield in terms of how difficult Bay Hill tends to play when you stack it up against all the events on the PGA Tour. So we've already talked about that somewhat. Again, cream rises to the top here. It also is the fifth lowest greens in regulation percentage total among regular PGA Tour stops. Again, not including majors since 2015 at about 63% greens in regulation. That's around there with Harbor Town, Augusta National, Riviera, Quail Hollow. You know, I think that's telling. So the toughest part of Bay Hill is not hitting the fairways. I mean, people hit the fairways, they club down. It's those approach shots. A lot of forced carries, a lot of bunkers, water, trouble, wind, firm greens. So it's tough to hit these bad boys. Since 2019, this is interesting. And I'm not a big proximity guy. Everybody knows that. I don't think it's very good predictively. I think there's a lot of holes in it. I'll get into that in another video. But I don't like the predictive power. I do like looking back and kind of seeing, okay, this is a trend on a golf course, right? Approach shots from 200 to 225 yards since 2019 at Bay Hill have been nearly double the PGA Tour average. That's very telling. Hello, club head speed, okay? Because if you got club head speed, you're hitting shorter. You're hitting. Some of these guys are hitting freaking 7 and 8 and 6 irons, 200 to 225 yards, which is going to be a lot easier to get over these forced carries and hold these firm greens than a guy with slower club head speed. Now, you got guys like Molinari, Terrell Hatton, who are not high club head speed guys that have won here, but they're also long-term, precise, good mid to long iron players. Also, more on that here in just a second. I want to get to a couple quotes from players. I want to do this every video because this is telling. Now, if you love player quotes, you should be in the Nut Hut because every week during the interview processes, Monday through Wednesday, I read all the transcripts and I clip what I think is most important, and I throw that up in the Nut Hut so everybody can be tuned in. But here's a few quotes. Here's one from Jason Day. Quote, "You have to come to a golf course like this and just crush the par fives. That's more where all the scoring is. If you can get on the fairways, give yourself an opportunity to get to the green or around the green, then you let the short game take over and make birdies." All right. Rory McIlroy, quote, "As I said earlier, I came away from this golf course kicking myself that I hadn't played it more often because I feel it's a golf course that suits my game. The par fives are quite long, and I feel with my length, I can take advantage of those. I feel like it's a golf course that sets up well for me, and you can't not feel good about your putting on these greens. They're just so pure. You get the ball started on a line with decent speed, you know it's a great chance of going in." That's Rory. Finally, another past champion, Terrell Hatton. Quote, "I mean, it's obviously a tough golf course. The setup with the fairways are fairly soft, and then you got pretty firm greens. So if you miss the fairways, you're punished because the rough is so thick. And it's not like you can run the ball up onto the greens from the rough because they're too soft. They don't release. And then equally, if you're trying to pitch a ball on the greens out of the rough, it's just not stopping. So obviously, it's quite a challenge." So there's your quote from Terrell Hatton. Terrell Hatton. All right. So I want to get into my key stats for the week, but I talked about course history and how predictive. Data Golf is a great website, and they've done a bunch of study on the predictive power of course history, and they've got a graph on there that ranks all the courses on the PGA Tour as to how predictive they are. Data Golf says that there are only 3 PGA Tour courses with higher predictive value in course history than Bay Hill, Augusta National, which is not surprising. We all know that's a horses for courses spot. TPC Scottsdale, which surprised me a little bit, and Waialae Country Club, which is definitely one of those spots. The guys that tend to do well there can tend to keep doing well there. The guys that suck continue to kind of keep sucking on those golf courses. So, I do think you can weigh course history a little heavier this time around, with Bay Hill. But that's a dynamic thing. You can't get stuck on the same weight for course history every time you handicap a golf tournament. So don't do that. All right, we're going to wrap up the video with my key stats. All right, before we do that, again, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment. I need help with that driver. What's your favorite driver? What driver are you gaming? Why do you like it? Sell me on it. My favorite stats for Bay Hill in no particular order. All right, and I will adjust the weighting of these from time to time. As the week progresses. Good drives gained. Love that stat. That's a Fantasy National proprietary stat that measures, distance and accuracy, but also if you miss the fairway, do you still hit the green in regulation? That means it's probably a good drive, right? You didn't miss it too bad. You're not blocked out. You're not at OB. You're not in the real deep stuff. So I like that stat in combination with driving distance, more so that I can know who's got the club head speed, right? I mean, yes, you can go on the PGA Tour and find shot link data and club head speed, miles per hour stuff, but this is just easier. The driving distance isn't because I think bombing it off the tee here is necessarily a must-have, but it's more so that I can know, okay, those guys also have fast club head speed when they're approaching, with their irons. Remember that 200 to 225 yard stat, right? Strokes gained approach, that's a staple every single week. That's going to be important. Strokes gained putting on Florida, Bermuda. So, like looking at how guys putt on TPC Sawgrass, Innisbrook, Copperhead course, um, PGA National, and this course over the years. These grainy Tiff Eagle Bermuda grasses they're unique. So how do they do there? Bogey avoidance. I like that stat. This is a tough golf course. That also kind of takes into account strokes gained around the green a little bit because you're going to miss greens and you got to save par. You got to get up and down. I like bogey avoidance. Par 5 scoring. We just saw that mentioned by Rory and Jason Day in those key quotes. And then strokes gained ball striking at Bay Hill. Minimum of 12 rounds. I like looking at this. This is kind of a way to look at course history without looking at course history. You're looking at guys who strike the ball well. Ball striking is strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach combined. All right. So who's doing that really well at Bay Hill with a minimum of 12 rounds as a sample size to look at? I like that. And then long-term proximity from 200 to 225 yards. I mentioned that proximity number, and I don't love this stat, but looking long-term, 50, 100, 75, 100 rounds, so big sample size, who tends to be some of those best, mid to long iron players, depending on, what kind of club head speed we're rocking. All right, I'm over 10 minutes. I said I wasn't going to do that. My bad. But there you go. That's everything you need to know for Bay Hill Club and Lodge. If you're betting or playing DFS, like, subscribe, comment, need some driver help, make your screens be green, and bend over your bookie. See ya.